Personally, I thought it would be super stressful.
I thought it'd be quite hectic.
Everybody beforehand had just gone on non-stop about like, you know, quit your jobs, you can't do anything on the side, you know, you just got to focus 100% of your time on fourth year.
Pretty much what it's been in terms of it just being a long-term project.
So just kind of like staying motivated, I thought might be a challenge over like an extended period.
But so I kind of just went into it a little bit blind, being like, well, here's the past 3 years, I wonder if it's all gonna tie together somehow.
I just thought it would be so much more intense, and I'm really glad to see that you can manage it. It's sort of like learning on your own terms.
I think there was some miscommunication that we were going to be here 5 days a week.
I thought it'd be a lot more like stricter, and you had to commit to like these days, like 3 days a week, like so much. But it's like we've had a lot of freedom to kind of make it work for us, which was quite helpful.
The whole year has been very self-directed, and the year completely depends on the group that you're with and your industry partner.
Start of the year, like Alex and some of the other tutors kind of already told us that it would be like this.
It's really hard from the staff perspective to communicate what fourth year is about, because it is just so different to normal university.
I'm basically just going in blind and being like, what happens, happens.
You just kind of see what happens and you get used to it, and after a while you know what's going on.
Everything's kind of in the assessment brief, so that's where I get my like main understanding and everything.
So it's very tricky to find that balance between, like, you know, how much do you tell students?
Even though staff will email us or put stuff on UTS online or whatever, I don't feel like there's actually been a consistent channel of communication that I sort of know I can check every morning to see what's coming up.
Because sometimes we just have no idea what's going on in a given week. We just, you know, turn up, and it's difficult to plan around that.
Sometimes you get in and you just want to actually get to work on your project and everything, and
Sometimes you just need time to work on what you're doing.
Everyone was at different stages and yet being made to come back to one particular point.
We took a while to just wrap our heads around what our task even was, that to start using these methods didn't make sense to us.
The issue that we've had a lot is that we're at a totally different stage from what that content is teaching. So maybe that
should have been at the start and like should have informed our experience of how we actually went through it.
But maybe if it's even having more targeted, like small scale workshops on a particular methodology that would be good for anyone doing something with like a financial institution or a startup, or, you know, a more research-based project.
it would really help us to actually know ahead of schedule what's going to be in those like formal teaching sessions.
Even if it's like, you know, a whiteboard like next to the elevators or something that, you know, has like a reminder on it about, by the way.
People were scheduling their events on the same day and they had no idea that was going on, as well as they had no idea what they were doing in workshops later in the week.
If you could have some sort of like booking app where, you know, like in the subject outline it says, for this subject you've got to attend like one lecture a week or a fortnight or whatever it is, but then there's a sort of a list of like the options, like 4 options that you could go to in that time frame.
My early A3 idea was to do like a timetable for everyone's A3s and all the events and stuff we'd be doing during BCII, but then I found out that Alex had already done a timetable.
If we were told to do assessment 3 earlier on, that would have been better, because there would have been social events throughout the year, throughout the semester, whereas there seems to be a lot of all these social events towards the end of semester.
Which is a bit weird to me. It seems like after the first 2 weeks you're starting to like finally kick into your project, and then
To do 2 subjects at the same time, that was hellish.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think that they can just put it in the middle of the industry innovation project, just because it just throws you off path.
and maybe just moving the schools before SEM starts and then just go straight into your project instead of slapping it right down in the middle.
Our industry partner was contacting us saying, you know, where are you going, where have you come with the project?
Or if they have to be done at the same time, then it would be better to have some crossover between the Industry Innovation Project and Envisioning Futures.
I was the only one out of our group of 4 that was doing New Knowledge Making Lab, and that was very much just about your own research interests, whereas it seemed like I was hearing that you guys were working vaguely on the same problem area as our like IIP assignments.
So in New Knowledge Making Lab we had to choose our individual research projects, and I don't know like how useful any of that's actually been towards our IIP.
Then we were supposed to sort of as a new team, figure out how to move our industry innovation projects forward. But we were two different teams working on totally different stuff, so that was very, very difficult. And it made those 2 weeks very tough. But other than those 2 weeks, I think the structure's been great. I think that the whole point of fourth year is that it is very unstructured.
I think this time around it has been a bit more challenging just because I've had this and then work and my internship.
Like, to maintain the level of work that I need to pay those bills, I have to sacrifice my project work as well.
I didn't find any problems with that at all, really, because I have so much control over scheduling my own kids, like students, that is.
If you are in the situation where you are trying to sustain yourself and possibly others around you as well or something, it does become very hard.
I find the Tuesdays when we were starting at 10:30 was a lot more achievable, like with having to work late at night just to earn money while still studying.
I'm lucky because my work is very flexible. I can pretty much say when I want to work, and it generally works out.
I think to a lot of the people who in the past have been like, oh, you can juggle a job, like, I dare say they've been probably pulling not as many hours as like Jack has.
What it's going to be like next semester.
Yeah.
We should probably talk to the tutors about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I don't think it really, the current system doesn't really take into account the socio-economic situations with students and how that impacts the work that they have to take on board.